This podcast contains explicit language and content and is for mature audiences only.
Hey, you teenagers out there. If you're under 18, this show is more for your parents. So now that you have that mental picture stuck in your head, put some music on and get back to doing your homework.
We are a longtime married couple who's decided to chronicle our personal adventures and share our sex-positive discussions as we navigate our way through the swinging lifestyle.
Care to join us?
Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Jones.
And I'm Mrs. Jones, and we want to welcome you to episode 20 of the We Got a Thing podcast.
Episode 20.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like we're making some progress.
Yeah, and it's a Wednesday night.
Hump Your Wife Day.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed our podcast tonight.
That wasn't subliminal. That was just right out there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to have to finish this later.
I need to work on my subtleness.
Yeah. We are podcasting a little bit early in the week because we're going out of town this weekend. We have our first road race of the season.
Yes, we're running a race with actually a bunch of friends.
Vanilla friends.
Vanilla friends.
So far.
Yeah. So we've all rented a house near the start line of the race, and we're going to spend the weekend together. And I just have to keep reminding Mr. Jones that they're vanilla friends.
Well, there's a single lady there that has a crush on you.
Well, you know, you might be right.
Yeah.
I really can't deny it.
Yeah.
You might be right.
So if something happens, I mean, it doesn't mean we have to tell her we're in the lifestyle or anything. If it happens, it happens.
That's true.
You know, it's just like one of those things.
That's true. This house is beautiful. It sleeps like, 22 people or something. It's got like 13 bedrooms. So anyway, it's got an indoor pool in it. It's a heated pool, which, it's still March. So we kind of would appreciate that this time of year. And Mr. Jones I said, you have to pack your bathing suit. And he was like, why? And I said, because there's an indoor pool. And he's like, we have to wear bathing suits? Like, oh boy, it's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah. It is, but we're looking forward to it. Springtime, the clocks just changed, so we have an extra hour of daylight in the evening, and we're able to, it's better running weather.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to, getting away and having some fun. And I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because this episode is called Eyes Wide Open. And in our main segment, we're going to be talking about the risks and the rewards of being in the lifestyle.
That's right.
We'll talk about that in a minute. So, all right, besides our race this weekend, what else do we have?
Well, we need to look back.
Oh,
Keeping up with the Joneses.
What have we been up to?
Yeah, so what have we been up to? Well, we got home from Miami, and I think we took a weekend off.
We had a Mr. and Mrs. Jones weekend.
We did, and it was nice.
It was
we
really
needed to
nice.
reconnect and rest and recuperate and just spend some time together, a little bit of normalcy in our lives.
Yes.
So from that weekend of decadence to a weekend of just me and Mrs. Jones, huh?
Yes.
So that was very fun.
Yep.
And then it was house party time again.
Mm-hmm.
So we used our new and improved communication skills and went to another house party.
Yeah. New and improved.
Yeah. We had nowhere to go but up at that point.
Yeah.
But we did. We had a good time at this house party.
Yes.
We were kind of disappointed because there were a lot of couples there that we weren't going to know, but there were going to be 3 couples there that we are friends with and we've known for quite a while.
Yes.
And the one set of friends that we probably see the least because they live the furthest away texted us the morning of the house party and said that the wife was sick. So they weren't coming. So we were like, oh man, that's too bad.
Strike one.
Yeah, because we don't get to see them very often. And we were really looking forward to catching up with them.
There goes our 8th-some.
Yeah. So then we were still texting with another couple that we don't get to see very often, but, fairly often, I guess. And all day long, it was like, well, what appetizer are you making? What are you wearing? And, can't wait to see you tonight. And where are we going to play? And we were just kind of like going to town all day long with texting. And about 5:00, we got the text.
She had a fever.
She had a fever.
Strike 2.
She said she knew it was coming all day long. She said she felt like she was fading and was just in denial about it. And then once she actually took her temperature, realized that she had a fever, she probably thought it was a good idea not to expose that to other people.
And I was a little hesitant to text the third couple to make sure they were still going to be there, but I did. And they said, yeah, we'll see you soon. And
we were like, shoo.
There'll be somebody there. I mean, we had a good time. This is the third time we've been to this particular house party, and, we know the host fairly well. It was another good event. And, we almost slipped out without playing.
Yeah. I mean, we talked to a lot of people. We got to meet a couple that we were looking forward to meeting. We got to meet the husband, right? The wife was out of town.
Yeah.
So we got to talk to him for quite a while, and that was fun. And we're going to hopefully be able to get something on the calendar with them to get to know them a little better. And, we talked to our friends a lot, and they were trying to meet new people too. And as the evening went on, I think Mr. Jones and I were just, satisfied with the fact that we had a lot of fun, sexy conversations, and we were going to go home.
Yeah, well,
and
we
play, because we actually live fairly close to this house party.
Yeah, we had gotten separated from our friends and didn't want to intrude on their conversation, so we started packing up, and then they ran over and said, "Hey, are you guys leaving? Are you interested in playing?" And so we took our jackets back off.
We were like, let us think about that for a second. Sure.
Yeah, so we did, and had a lot of fun with them.
Yes.
So no communication issues at all.
Nope. And most people were behaving quite well around the dining room table that night.
For the most part,
For the most part, yes. No more dick in the deviled eggs.
No, but people just make some comments that, just remind you that not everybody's in this just for the same reason that we are. But that's pretty normal. Yeah. But it was fun. Overall.
We had fun. It was good entertainment all around.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I think it was the following Monday. Yes, it was. So we went to the house party Saturday night, and then Monday night, which was a bonus. Couple that we had met at the Do You Know George party in Miami, and they're from Florida, were going to be passing through the area on a trip. And they stopped in, and we had dinner with them here at the house on Monday night.
Yeah, we did. That was really fun.
We had dessert.
Yes.
And they kept us up, or we kept them up until 1:00 in the morning on a school night. And I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
I think we had some hot tub time that night with them too, didn't we?
We had a lot of fun. They're great. I mean, we had fun playing with them in Miami,
right?
And they had progressed a little bit since then. But they're just first of all, they're super attractive and just a wonderful. And they're really confident, even though they're new. They're really confident in themselves, and they're confident knowing what they want and what they don't want. And they're really, really good communicators about that.
And they're just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a good time.
Yeah. So we had a bonus Monday night gig. And then what, Mrs. Jones?
Then let's see what came next. Let's see. That was Monday. And then on Friday, we met up with another single guy.
Yeah.
And this one had been on the calendar. Our first single guy experience was an unexpected treat.
This one was supposed to be our first.
Yes.
Yeah. But he was our second. And he probably benefited from being the second.
Right, right. So this is a single guy that had reached out to us last summer, and we had kind of gotten to know him a little bit last summer. And then he said that he was going to be in town for business at the end of February, I guess. So he
had heard about your Christmas gift.
Right.
And then he contacted us and said he was going to be in town and wanted to know if we would be interested in getting together.
Right.
And he fit all of our criteria.
Yes, he did.
And so we decided to meet him.
Right. So we had been texting with him for, a few weeks ahead of our date to get to know him a little bit better. I think you and he had done a lot of emailing over a period of time, but then we started texting, and it was fun because we were talking about what kind of restaurant we wanted to meet at for dinner. And we were trying to kind of figure out what atmosphere would be the most conducive to private conversation. And
but before that, when I was emailing him, it was more, I was asking him, about his experience level and about what he enjoys about being a single guy. And, I was telling him a little bit about me and about what I wanted and what my role was going to be. And so he and I had a lot of back and forth about just foundational things.
So Mr. Jones did all the dirty work.
Yeah. And then
once they got all that worked out, then I got to jump in and have some fun conversation.
Then we invited you into the conversation. And then it started getting a lot more friendly and flirty over a few weeks. And then, so anyway, then he came into town and we met him in an old town part of the area and went to a nice restaurant.
Yep. And we found a booth kind of upstairs where there weren't very many people up there. It was a Friday night and I was afraid it was going to be just jam-packed and loud. And because a lot of the restaurants in the part of town we were in are like old historic buildings and there's no like, soundproofing or whatever. All the sound just bounces around. And so they have really neat ambiance, but not always real conducive to like quiet, private conversation.
But before we had gotten there on the way up, remember we had the conversation about, we felt like that because of the emailing and the texting that if things went well during the evening, we were prepared to play.
Right.
But we were always and we told him that, that we weren't promising anything, but that felt like we were really comfortable with him and we would decide at dinner, if we wanted to extend the evening, and he had the right to do so too.
Right. And then the other thing is we had to figure out where to play because we don't live too terribly far from where we were having dinner. So we had to decide, well, do we get a hotel room or do we, bring him to our home? So that was kind of a big decision.
Well, we had a hotel lined up
right
at the last minute, but we didn't book it. But we knew that they had a vacancy, and then we're 45 minutes away. So we decided to play it by ear. And when we got to the restaurant, anyway, to get back to the booth, do you do who sits on what side?
Right.
And he kind of stood there, and you and I sat down next to each other. I sat down
first, yeah.
I sat down next to you, and he sat down across from us. And then And it
was fine.
Oh, yeah.
But then like maybe a half an hour in, I'm thinking, this poor guy probably thinks he's like on a job interview or something,
well,
because you and I were kind of sitting it was kind of like sitting across a desk from somebody.
That's what it is.
That's not sexy though.
I know, but really that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, you're saying the person face to face, you're looking in his eyes, you're making eye contact, you're assessing, is he credible? Is he real? And that's what it is.
I know.
I mean, it's just part of it. But he got up to use the restroom about a half an hour, 45 minutes in, and you suggested that I go on to the other side of the booth. And so when he came back, he sat next to you.
So we probably confused the server a little bit, but that's probably not the weirdest thing she's ever seen. So
no, I doubt it.
So it was kind of fun sitting next to him.
Right. So we had good dinner conversation, and we decided that we wanted to continue the evening, and we gave him the option. We said, well, there's a hotel like 5 minutes away, or we could go back to the house. And he was comfortable coming back to the house. Right. So we brought him down. So
that was fun because one of the things that we had talked about ahead of time is, again, finding that place to have a good conversation. And he said something about finding a place where, it would be private and people wouldn't overhear us. So we didn't have to be so careful about our language or, what we were talking about. And I said, yeah, sometimes Mr. Jones has that problem when I have to like kick him under the table to tell him to lower his voice a little bit. And he said, yeah, I've been accused of that too. So I started joking around with both of you and I'm like, great. Now I'm going to have to be like in charge of keeping two guys like volume controlled over the evening. And I said that there would be a price to pay for that. So then of course it was like, well, what's the penalty going to be? And the penalty was a four-handed massage from two sexy guys.
Yeah, that was the first thing that we did.
And that's exactly what I got. It was awesome. Yeah. And you actually behaved at dinner, so you didn't even really do anything wrong, but I got my massage anyway.
You skipped our transition, though. I mean, because we came home and we sat down, in our furniture arrangement in the sunroom. And, you were sitting next to him on the love seat, and I was sitting in a separate chair. So
it was kind of like when we were in Florida. Yeah. But this time it was so much easier for me because I didn't have to keep like looking at you like, is everything okay? Yeah. How is he perceiving?
Right. So you guys started making out.
Flirting and you were fine.
And then we went up to the massage table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't take long.
For what?
To
the
get up to the massage table. Right.
Yeah. So we gave you a massage for a while.
Yeah. And it could have been longer.
Yeah. Listen to you. It's greedy.
Not being greedy. I mean, things were just like getting heated up. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Jones says, I think we should move to the bedroom.
Yeah.
And of course, our single guy said, well, okay. So what was I to do?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to lay on the massage table by myself.
Well, he wasn't complaining.
No, it was fine. It was fine. And we moved into the bedroom, and that was actually pretty easy.
Yeah. And we had a good time. I mean, I won't get too explicit here. I mean, we changed positions quite a few times, and
He taught us a couple new tricks.
yeah, he did. And it was a little bit maybe awkward at first for him. And I think this goes back to what we talked about with the other single guy, because he realized, we're going to be talking about this on our podcast. So the first part of it, I think he was settling in, but he got comfortable pretty quickly. And once the three of us got comfortable, it was very fluid. And, we talked a lot, and we went back and forth, and I would step out for a minute and grab a drink and watch, and then I would re-engage, and we would move around. So it was a lot of fun.
It was more than a lot of fun.
The finish was
crazy.
The finish was like, the 4th of July, the grand finale.
It was.
Yeah, because he and I finished within a minute of each other, and that was pretty hot.
I know. I remember it, but I just remember, and I didn't really drink very much that night at all.
Yeah.
Because I really felt like I needed to keep my wits about me. And I just remember being dizzy. It was just like so much sensory overload. It was crazy.
Well, you handled us pretty well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm kind of like enjoying that. It's not really about being the center of attention. It's about, I don't know. It's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like it. But, again, we've had, a really good experience with single guys.
I know. You know what? We're batting 1,000. Maybe we should quit while we're ahead.
I know.
And stick with these two guys.
I know. Well, our first single guy, unfortunately, lives 1,000 miles away. So that's not super easy to meet up with him.
Where there's a will.
And actually, this single guy doesn't live close either, but he travels a lot.
What if you had both of them at the same time?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I don't know if I could handle that.
All right, write that down.
Let's check our calendars.
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah.
So the good thing about it is, the evening was a lot of fun. And then afterwards we talked to him, and he was telling us a lot of funny stories about being a single guy at dinner. And,
oh my gosh. And in the car ride on the way home.
Yeah, so
oh my gosh.
We invited him. We said, well, it would be great if you could come on our podcast, not knowing how he would respond. And he said, oh, I would love that. So we're hopeful that in a couple months he may have to come back to town. Then we'd have him back down, because I think giving him a voice and a platform as a really solid single guy to, play his part in helping the community understand what the life of a single guy is like. And, he is a good one. And so to get the message out there about, his experiences and how he works as a single guy and how much fun he has and how he connects with the couple. And of course, while he's here, we're not just podcast, we'll probably have some fun too.
Probably.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's the payment for being on the podcast.
Yeah. Gosh.
And then the other thing that was a little bit strange, but it wasn't strange, was I had to drive him back to town to his hotel. So he and I had a 45-minute drive back into town, and I dropped him off at his hotel. And we had really a relaxing conversation all the way back up. So
yeah, I didn't go with him.
No, we left you
the
here.
The princess stayed at home and laid in bed, but I waited up for you. I didn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, because I wanted to talk to you afterwards.
Yeah. So single guy number 2, thank you very much. He does listen to the podcast. So shout out to you. And we hope that we see you in a couple months.
Yes, absolutely.
And then moving on to probably the last thing that occurred.
Yes. So we finally got together with our friends that we were supposed to get together with when the blizzard struck in January.
Yes.
So it took a couple months to get them back on the calendar because they traveled a lot and we were traveling, and we just couldn't get a weekend until this past weekend.
Right. And we've been, as you know, we've been talking about refurbishing our basement into a swinger pad, and it's about 90% done. So we asked them if they wanted to help kick the tires.
Right. So we met them in a town pretty close to here, kind of halfway between us, for dinner. So we went to dinner, and
yeah, but on the way to dinner, that's when the sexiest voice in
my
iTunes.
Gosh.
Your GPS skills.
We have lived in our town for 30 years, and we went to a restaurant that is not far away from where we live, and we've been to this restaurant multiple times, and Mr. Jones always gets lost.
You make me nervous. I mean, it's a downtown area, and if I don't turn where you would turn, you must turn.
Well,
and then I ask you,
but we always go the same way, and you can't remember that way.
I know it, and I said, okay, I need to know what to do next, and you said, well, when you get to the school, you're going to turn. So I got to the school.
I said, you're going to turn at the school.
I know, but I started to turn left, and you said, turn right. I said, well, you didn't tell me what way to turn.
But the name of the street I told you to turn on only went to the right, which was towards the school.
Well,
you could see the school. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, anyway, the thing about it was you said, I can't believe you're like this. And I said, why can't you believe I'm like this? It's been 31 years. I haven't changed. Just get over it. I'm not very good at remembering directions. So,
but you're the driver. Like when we go someplace and I'm not driving and I'm not paying attention, then I won't remember how to get there the second time. But when I drive somewhere,
I know, but that's you.
It's like a tactile experience. You remember it.
No, you remember it. Anyway.
So this is the frame of mind that we get to the restaurant to meet our super sexy friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, although I have to give you credit though, part of what we're doing when we're remodeling this basement is we're buying new furniture. So we got a new bed to put in our red room and put it together. And it was easy because you got it on Amazon and it came in the mail. And the mattress was like freeze dried and shrink wrapped and everything.
It was a memory foam mattress.
It was like one of those toys you get the kids and it's a sponge and you put it in the bathtub and it explodes. And when you cut the plastic off of this thing, it just opened right up. And
it's actually a really comfortable mattress.
Yeah, it is. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But then you wanted to get a sectional. And I was dreading going furniture shopping because typically what happens when you take me furniture shopping is you think you know what you want. And then we get to the furniture store and you find it. And then you make me go up and down every other aisle in the furniture store anyway. And then you make me go to 2 or 3 other furniture stores. Also, we can come back to the first furniture store and buy the thing that we looked at first.
Well, buying furniture is an investment. You can't just like buy the first thing because you don't know if it's the best price. You don't know if you can find something of better quality for less money.
I know, but what I'm saying is this time you didn't do that. I'm giving you a compliment because on the way to the furniture store, you were online.
I had done a lot of
on
online
your phone
research,
and you found a sectional that you really liked. And you said, oh, when we get there, I really like this one and it's the right price. So we walked in and the sales guy with the plaid coat and the green tie and the slick back hair and the cheap cologne comes racing up to the door when
Mr. Jones is actually pretty accurate in that description. I can't even defend the guy.
So, we found what we wanted and the salesman wandered away and then you made me walk the whole rest of the store, which was fine. And then, but here's where you really scored some points with me. We came back to the sofa and you said, I think I want this one. And I said, what? No more furniture stores? And you said, no, I really like this one.
Well, it looked better in person than it did online.
And this is the point where then you said, well, I don't have to buy it here. I can buy it online on the way home because it's the same price and you're going to have to pick it up anyway.
I said, but you have to sit on it first. Like Mr. Jones will buy furniture and he won't sit on it.
Well,
but that's why you buy furniture, to sit on it.
No, honey, that's not why we bought this furniture. If you wanted me to test out the furniture, I would have had to have thrown you down on it. That's the only way we could have tested it.
Well, you have to just sit on it and then use your imagination.
Right. So I sat on the furniture. But
and then he rolled his eyes.
And then you said that we could buy it online. So the first thing I did was like scoped out where the salesman was. Because in a situation like that, when you're trying to... I knew I was going to try to make a break for the door and you cue the Jaws music because when they see you, you're walking to the door and then they see you and they start walking to the door and you start walking faster because if you make it to the parking lot, it's a safe zone. But fortunately he was tied up with another customer and we made it out the door.
We did.
And then you got in the car and you
bought it on the way home.
That was great.
Yeah.
And then I picked it up this past weekend, which brings us all the way back to our friends coming over because we had just put the sofa down here.
Yes, it was fresh. It was fresh, just hours off the truck.
Yeah, so we had dinner with them in town, and then we all 4 came back to the house, and that was a quick transition too. We just came right to the basement.
I don't think we've ever played a game with them.
We don't need to.
No.
Yeah.
Things just naturally get started.
This is just one of those couples that we just click with.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we came downstairs and as soon as she saw the sofa, she said, oh, I can think of, oh, you could do this to me, and we could do this, and so right away my head is spinning because she's coming up with all these ideas, and we haven't even made it into the bedroom yet. So the four of us, then she and I went into the bedroom, and you two, of course, just like last time, he delayed you, and you.
I think I got thrown down on the carpet.
Well,
in the family room.
Yeah, and I was telling you to get on the ceramic tile because you were dripping. I was like, get off the new carpet. You all get over there on the ceramic tile. Just put this carpet down.
Some details just aren't necessary, Mr. Jones.
Well, so she and I went into the bedroom and started playing, and that was a lot of fun. So for a brief moment there, we were separated.
We were, because he and I didn't make it into the bedroom right away. And like, you guys turned the bedspread down and got the little sex blanket out, and you guys were.
Yeah, I went down on her and we started playing, and
I missed all that.
Yeah, but
I was busy though. Sorry.
Yeah, but eventually you two came in, and then we started playing, and she's straight, and really, I have to say by now,
she and I do some stuff together.
Yeah, but she's mostly straight. Don't take that away from me.
No.
Yeah,
no,
because
she's definitely into you, Mr.
Well,
Jones.
that's what I mean. When it's a bi-curious or bisexual woman, I always wonder how much of the attraction is for me and how much of it is for you. And but this woman is primarily into guys, and so I'm the benefit. I take all the credit for her being attracted to us. So anyway, the four of us were going to town on the bed, and at one point in time, he was with you, and he was going at you pretty hard, and all of a sudden, crack. The bed cracked. And we said, well, good thing that we were, what did you call this? A test cruise?
It was a shakedown cruise.
Shakedown. Good thing this is a shakedown cruise. And
you have to have good friends to try out of bed the first time.
So he got up real quick and righted the bed temporarily. And
we just kind of actually scooted over because there was no righting the bed.
Yeah, so at that point in time, though,
just one of the corners just sunk down.
Yeah, she and I got up because she had to come out and use the restroom. And this bedroom, it's a really nice big bedroom, and it's got the double doors, and we had the double doors wide open. And then outside the double doors is the wet bar and the rec room area. So I was standing at the bar drinking a bottle of water, and I was watching you two, but I was not in the room. I was just watching, and while she was in the restroom. And then when she came back, she was eyeballing the couch. And she said, I really want to try this position on the couch. And I had already had an orgasm, but when she said that, I'm like, okay, I'm game. And she put her knees up on she kneeled towards the back of the sofa, put her elbows on
and
the back.
And her husband and I were still on the bed.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Yeah. So I was in her doggy style. She was on the sofa. And for a brief moment there, for a few moments, we were actually technically in separate rooms.
Right. Because the sofa was around the corner.
I mean, just barely. It was right outside the room, and we could hear you and you could hear us.
Yeah. So we finished, and then we came out and we were watching you guys.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So
she and I went at it for a while there, and I'll save the rest of it because I think you're going to talk more about this.
Yes.
At our snapshot.
Yes.
So anyway, we were standing there going at it, and you guys came out of the bedroom, and you were both standing there. You know, he kind of had his arm around you. You were standing side by side, and you were watching. So I felt like I had my own personal audience.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. We were enjoying it.
It was fun. So anyway, did we miss anything there, or?
No, I think that was a lot of keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. So when we come back, we're going to get into our topic, which is Eyes Wide Open, and we're going to talk about the risks and the rewards of the lifestyle.
The sexy rewards.
Yes, the sexy rewards.
Welcome back to segment 2 of our podcast tonight. Our title this month is called Eyes Wide Open. And we decided to talk about some of the risks involved in being in the lifestyle. We have gotten a lot of questions from our listeners about how we manage STIs, the risk of getting STIs as we open up our relationship into the lifestyle. So, Mr. Jones and I have had to kind of really reflect on that, we're very aware of the risk, but, how do we really process it and how much research do you need to do as an individual? I think that everybody kind of handles it differently, but the bigger picture that we were seeing as people were asking about the risk of STIs, well, we started conversation and said, well, there's more than just a risk of STIs. There's all kinds of risks as you step into the lifestyle. So we broke it down into 4 categories, right?
Yeah. So we want to talk about STIs, obviously, but also pregnancy is a risk. The risk to your relationship, which we've talked about before, so we won't talk about that one for very long. And then there's a risk of being found out, that you're in the lifestyle and somebody's going to find out. So those are the 4 risks that we decided to talk about tonight. And, before we, get into it, our philosophy on this is to educate. We educated ourselves and, we believe in safe sex. We believe in testing and we did research as a couple before on each of these 4. And, honestly, we probably did more after we got into, we did, the more we learned about the lifestyle and, the more we did research. But, we want you to know that we think it's really a conversation that the 2 of you, or if you're single, that you need to really think about and research, yourself and make an informed decision. And so hopefully this conversation tonight will just help you understand how we approached it. And then you can take it from there. And then we're going to talk about some of the rewards, though, that offset those risks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave it all one-sided, because we're not trying to scare anybody away. We're just trying to, talk about it in balance.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a balance.
Right. And I think sometimes when people email us, and they don't really come out and say this, but it's almost like some people are waiting for us to say it's okay for you to take the risk. And that's not on us.
That's not our role. Yeah. No, definitely not.
Yeah. So why don't we do you want to start with STIs then?
Sure.
Okay. Because we, the CDC's, let's just put that out there. We'll put this website on our show notes, but the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, has a wonderful website on all the STIs. And there's fact sheets, and there's detailed fact sheets, and there's summarized fact sheets. And we would recommend that you go there to start with and educate yourself just in your own home and talk about that. Because there's a different level of risk. And, so what we've decided is that we use condoms for full swap, but we don't use any kind of barriers for oral sex.
And I'm not going to lie, when you go to the CDC website, every single type of disease that you can get through sexual transmission basically says the only way you can be sure to not catch this is to not have sex.
That's right. Yeah. That's your baseline.
So, I'm laughing, but that's not funny.
Yeah.
So, there's a risk no matter what. And most of these infections can be transmitted not only vaginally through penetrative sex, but through oral sex and just some of them even touching,
Yeah.
It makes it look really scary.
Yeah. So really it's common sense and education.
Right.
Educate yourselves, talk to your doctors, get yourselves tested, and we'll kind of summarize this when we get to the end of it, but really there's not much more. We've been fortunate, and we'll talk about that too, how we choose couples, and that's all part of it. So, we don't want to really get into falling into a trap of talking about these diseases because we're not medical experts. But we really want to put it on you as a couple, and you both have to have a level of comfort, to decide where you're going to start and what your rules are going to be.
Right. Mr. Jones and I do not use any kind of protection when we engage with oral sex with other people.
Yeah.
There's dental dams to use. Some people will bring a roll of saran wrap with them and put that down, or give a guy a blowjob when he has a condom on. And that's, if that's your comfort level and it's the other couple's comfort level, then that's fine. I think not most, all couples that we've played with have chosen not to use any kind of barrier with oral sex.
That's right.
And honestly, I don't know how enjoyable it would be for me. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be enjoyable if you use those things. But for me, I'm not in the mindset that I would find that enjoyable. It would be such a, I guess I don't want to say a barrier, but a hindrance or whatever.
Right.
That it would be distracting, I think, from the pleasure.
That's right. It's more distracting.
Right.
Yeah. So that's STIs. And we've been fortunate, that we're healthy.
So far, so good. I mean, we're 2 years in.
Right.
That doesn't mean it could happen tomorrow. And,
right.
It's always there.
Yeah. So, I mean, pregnancy, this really won't take long because everybody should be well educated on this.
Yes. But I think the thing that I wanted to bring up is, you and I have been married for a long time. You got a vasectomy, like 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So I completely stopped worrying about birth control.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't trust you for a couple of years and I stayed on the pill. But, so then when we got back in the lifestyle, I had to make sure that I was aware of the fact that even though I'm not super young anymore, I'm still able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Because condoms aren't 100% safe.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Don't forget about pregnancy. And then, of course, there's the risk to your relationship.
Yes.
And we've talked about this before. And I think this is the biggest one.
Right.
Because you just never know. You've really got to be careful with this one. And we've had listeners tell us, and we've talked about the fact that we're playing with fire. And, married 29 years before we got into this lifestyle. And, we had a great marriage. We had a great sex life. And, why should we take this plunge when we're so happy? And why take the chance of damaging that? And that's really something that every individual couple needs to consider, because I think that's the biggest risk.
We get a lot of feedback from our listeners, and I think that's the most critical feedback we ever got. The listener didn't say we were doing anything wrong, but he said, I hope you guys just remember that you're playing with fire. And he's absolutely right. I mean, we do need to remember that, and we need to be very respectful of the risk that we're taking and not ever take it too lightly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you and I have had a couple communication glitches along the way, and in the scheme of things, they've been minor. For you and I, they've kind of been a bucket of cold water on our faces.
Yeah.
But it hasn't done any damage to our relationship. But in a way, I think it might be good that we have those glitches every now and then, because it wakes us up and it makes us step back and say, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're getting overconfident or, whatever.
Right. Yeah, and we've gotten a couple of emails, and I have to say that they're from the guys. I've gotten a couple of emails from the husbands who have been asking us, their wives are a little bit behind them, and they're positive they would like it, and how can I talk them into it? And immediately I respond and say, you know what, that's the wrong approach. If you have to talk somebody into something,
right,
your relationship is not ready for it.
And they could be absolutely right. Maybe their wives will have a great time someday.
Yeah.
But they have to figure out a way to get, in that same step, you know.
Right. Yeah. So be careful with that. And the last thing that we want to talk about before we get to the rewards is being found out.
Yeah.
And
that's the scary one.
Yeah. And a lot of people think about this, about even starting. Some people that email us are not in the lifestyle. Some people that email us are in the lifestyle, but they don't have a profile on a website because they're afraid to. Some people have a profile on the website, but don't put face pictures. There's all these progressions of risks that you're willing to take to put yourself out there. And remember, when you and I started this, we were the same way. I mean, we were petrified when we got emails from people that lived near us.
Right, I know.
Because we thought, we're going to know these people. We're going to be found out. Yeah, so, we evolved, though, through that. So the risk of being found out is always going to be there, but as long as you don't start a podcast, you're relatively low.
Right.
The risk is, and if you run into somebody and you've heard us and other podcasters talk about that, well, I mean,
they're in it too.
They're in it too.
That's right. I won't tell if you won't tell.
Right. So the main thing is that, again, with all four of these, the reason, you've got to talk amongst each other, the two of you. You've got to come to an agreement. But then once you make that agreement and you start into the lifestyle, come back and revisit these things to see how you're growing and what your comfort level is, because your perspective is going to change, and you're going to grow as you're getting into this.
Right.
And so the other reason that we decided to talk about risk tonight is because
we were outed.
Yeah, one of my friends found out about our podcast.
Yes.
And so this risk thing was a very real thing for us, because so far through the lifestyle, we've been able to keep our podcast and our lifestyle separate from our real vanilla lives.
Right.
And I'm not really going to get into how he found out, because that's really not important. I'll just say that he didn't stumble across it. Somebody told him about it. And it, it made us realize that, especially me, because I see him often and he's a good friend. But it really, we were able to keep these two worlds separate, and now there's an intersection of them coming together. And so having to, deal with this, which again, not too many people do podcasts, and we are really risking a whole lot more than normal because our voices are out there.
Right.
And we tell stories, and some of our stories can indicate where we are and, approximately where we live and what we do. And so but the bottom line is we've accepted the risk. And, we understood that this day might happen, and
it happened, and we're still alive.
Yeah. And, the thing about it was, Mrs. Jones, I have to say, I'm really, because we talked about this when I interviewed you on episode 14 too. Remember I said, if we were found out.
I said that I did not want to be found out.
Yeah. So anyway, I came home and I told you that he knew. And, of course, there's a little bit of embarrassment. Well, first of all, everybody has an assumption of how people are going to react if they were to find out. And that goes for your employer, your family, your kids, your parents, the community,
your best friends,
your church.
Yeah.
There's assumptions that it's not going to go over well, or that, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired, or we're going to get kicked out of the church, or our family's going to excommunicate. But really, until it happens, that's a perception. And you may be right, but you may not be right. And in this case, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it went better than we could have anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good friend anyway, and really, if I were to have a short list of people that I would have told this to, he would have been on that list, just because he's a really close friend. Anyway, there was no judgment. We talked about it a lot. He's very accepting of it. It's not anything that he or his wife are interested in. So at the end of the day, it turned out that I had a fear that was unfounded. But you, on the other hand, I mean, even you said, I was a little bit of I'll let you say what. Well,
after the initial shock, I mean, I remember when you told me, I remember like the tips of my fingers tingling. You get that, like,
yeah, let's shut down the podcast.
I know. But I think the thing that bothered me the most is that I have a lot of respect for your friend and his wife. Well, our friend and his wife. And, just the fact that they listen to our podcast, and we talk about having sex on our podcast. And sometimes we go into detail, and just the fact that they heard that, and, that doesn't make me super proud, I guess. But the biggest thing I realized after, a couple days went by and I had time to process it, was that I was more upset that they knew about our podcast, and the fact that we're in the lifestyle and that we have sexual relations with other people, that wasn't really what I was embarrassed about. It was the fact that they had the opportunity to listen to our escapades on our podcast. I mean, on one hand, I'm very proud of our podcast because I really do think we do our best effort at keeping it balanced and keeping it, on the up and up and trying to help people make informed decisions about the lifestyle. So that part makes me proud, but to have somebody outside that isn't interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now this kind of Venn diagram, there's an overlap between my vanilla life and my lifestyle life. And I'm learning how to live there because every time I see him, like normally he would say, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" Well, now I'm still honest with him, but I'm like, well, okay, we're going out with friends. And I know that he knows. And
right.
but I want to be honest with him. And I think it's going to be good to have somebody on the outside, as a confidant and, that can talk about this from the outside and hold me accountable. I mean, he's a good friend. He's the type of friend that I would, a true friend that are honest with you. They hold you accountable. They're non-judgmental, they listen, so if somebody had to find out, I'm not disappointed that it's him. I think it's going to be a good thing. So anyway, that's a part of why we decided to do this podcast, because it just happened to us just before we podcasted last time. And we've had a few weeks to process everything. But anyway, let's get beyond the risks.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start talking about
there is a flip
rewards.
side to this. There are some sexy rewards.
Definitely. So do we want to start with, one of the things that we talked about, let's just continue on with being found out.
Okay.
Because I had a similar reaction to you. I mean, I was embarrassed at first and maybe I shouldn't have been, but, honestly, I was embarrassed the same way you explained, because they can hear us and listen to us. But almost immediately, when the thought process went, okay, should we quit the podcast? Should we get out of the lifestyle? I mean, these questions are running through my head. And then I stopped and I thought of all of the friends that we have in the lifestyle.
Yes.
And the people that really quickly, I realized that three things popped into my head. First of all, the strength of our relationship. Our relationship is so much deeper now than before we got into the lifestyle. Secondly, we have some lifelong friends that we've played with and some that we don't play with and probably never will play with. And they're real people and they're real friends.
Right.
And the third thing is that we've had sexy fun with these people. But really, that was the third thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
So immediately I felt like justified that I'm not going to stop doing this. I can't stop doing this. This is real. I mean, our relationship is real and it's deep. And our podcast, is well-intended and, we try to do a good job to help people. And, then we've met these people and we've shared a lot of stuff, real life stuff with people in the lifestyle and they're really true friends. So it like almost immediately, all of that went out of my mind about getting out because we've experienced so many benefits to our relationship. And really that's the main reason we got in is the relationship piece of it.
Right. And we've made friends that, we have sexy times with them, but at the same time, it's like, we'll get a text, "Hey, we haven't seen you guys for a while. We have to catch up. Let's meet at a winery on Sunday." Not let's meet at a hotel and have sex, although that might not be bad either. But, let's meet at a winery and bring a picnic basket of cheese and crackers and just catch up. And that is so much fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about sex. Now, did we talk about sex at the winery? Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah. And, this ties right back into the STIs and the pregnancy thing because the people that we choose to play with, I mean, let's keep everything in the proper perspective. If you're the type of person that wears a dust mask in public when you go on an airplane, you're probably not going to be comfortable in the lifestyle.
Right. This is not for germaphobes, I guess.
So that's one thing.
Although I think the people that we play with are pretty well-groomed and have good hygiene. Yes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
I mean, the people that we choose to play with There's no guarantee that they're disease free, but it's more likely that they are. The other thing is that, I mean, if you're an educator or you work in a clinic and you see STIs all the time, your bias is going to be towards, oh my gosh, I would never do that. I don't want to take this chance. But if you think about the people that are coming in there and why they're coming in there, they're not lifestyle people, chances are.
Right.
These are people that have either they're uneducated or they made bad decisions or they cheated on somebody or, they're young and they don't understand, that's not what the people that we choose to be with are not like that in the lifestyle.
Right.
So let's, keep things in their proper perspective. And, the thing about the couple that we had the fun with, just that we were mentioning in our basement,
You mean that we broke the bed with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the next day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I swinger-proofed that bad boy. I mean, I think we could get 8 people in there now.
Mr. Jones, I swear you should put a picture of that bed on the website with all the screws in it.
I took the mattress off, and it only had like 4 screws in each
We
section.
didn't break the slats.
I mean, I put like 3 times as many screws through that thing, and I put the mattress back. You could have, I'm thinking 6 or 8 people easy.
Yeah, so our friends texted us and the next day, Mr. Jones was like, I'm fixing the bed. And they're like, well, make it so that it can hold 8 people. And I was like, 8 people?
Yeah. Yeah. 6
Whatever
maybe.
happened to 6?
Yeah. So anyway, sorry about that, but I did fix the bed.
Yes.
Yeah. So the shakedown cruise was definitely worth it. But
yes.
Anyway, back to our coming full circle back to our reconnection sex after they left.
Yes.
And we talked a lot about them. And people have emailed us and asked us, or they say they have difficulty finding couples that you connect with. Just understand, be picky.
Take your time.
Take your time, be patient, do this together, because this couple and a lot of other couples that we've met, but specifically I'm talking about the couple that we just played with. They've been married 25 years
Mm-hmm.
or they are so much fun. They are so in love with each other, and our relationship is so strong and their relationship is so strong that that's why we were able to do separate room with them, because there's no worry at all there's no worry about STIs. There's no worry about jealousy. Right. There's there's none of that.
Well, on the way home from the restaurant, we split up. I mean, I rode home with him and she rode home with you, because that way they didn't have to rely on GPS to get back to our house.
That was one of the reasons.
Well, that was one of the reasons, I know. He and I didn't really talk about anything sexy. It took 20 minutes to get home. We didn't talk about anything sexy at all. We were talking about his job and my job, and we had kind of an overlapping theme. We work in 2 different careers, but we had an overlapping theme that we really connected with. And we were talking about almost kind of like nerdy stuff all the way home. And
what a shock.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. But it was really cool, because we didn't stop talking the whole way either.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just so easy to be around. Yeah. And if I'd have ridden home with her, it would have been the same way.
Yeah. Well, and she and I did the same thing. We talked about running because she's a runner.
Yeah.
A lot of the time coming home. So yeah, we never even talked about anything sexy either. I mean, I think we did hold hands a little bit, but
I admire them so much as individuals and as a couple. The sex is just like, I mean, you have sex with them and it's like, wow, that's just like the total icing on the cake.
So that is that's the reward.
Yeah.
When you find a couple like that. I mean, we have other good friends and we've had other good times, but there's 1 or 2 couples that I think you'll find after you're in this a while that really, really connect with you and make you feel comfortable. And this couple did that. And so the reward, the bottom line here is the rewards that we are experiencing through our relationship. And it's just well worth, we believe.
Right.
It's well worth the risk that we take.
Yes.
And as far as the podcast goes, I mean, obviously we would quit the podcast first before we quit the lifestyle.
Yes.
But you all that, have been sending us emails. The reason that we do this, and we've said this before, but the reward that we get out of this, we're not monetizing this. We're not, you're not going to see advertisements all over. We're not asking people for money. We're just trying to make a difference. We're just trying to educate people. We're trying to, our message is this is fun. It can deepen your relationship if you do it the right way, or if you all figure out the right way to do it and move forward. We just hope that somebody experiences what we're experiencing, and that's the purpose of the podcast.
We just want to share it because it's like Mr. Jones said, it has totally transformed our relationship that was already good to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think everybody notices the difference in us, not in a like sleazy way, but I think we're just connected.
Yeah.
And I think our family notices it. Our vanilla friends notice it. I think our employers notice it. I think we've just become very confident, connected people. I think we communicate with everybody better now.
Yes.
I think we're much more insightful to the other person's perspective, much more so than we were before.
Definitely. So the bottom line here, Mrs. Jones, is what? I mean, the
risk is there. I mean, going to the CDC website and looking at all the STIs, it's scary. It really is. But, I remember being like right out of high school and when Magic Johnson first got sick and he announced that he had HIV, I just remember thinking that was the end of the world. But luckily our medical field has ways to manage things now and to educate us so that we can practice safer sex. There is no such thing as safe sex unless you don't have sex, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you're as safe as you can be within the comfort level that you have,
yes,
then you're at least making an informed decision and practicing a risk that you're aware of.
Right. And so anyway, thank you all for the feedback that you give us, because really the reason it was so easy to not even think about stopping the podcast is because of the relationships that we're making and connecting with you listeners and the feedback.
The emails are incredible. And like every once in a while, there'll be a day where we don't get an email from anybody because like that's our deal. We like eat dinner together and Mr. Jones always brings his iPad to the table and he keeps it closed until after we're finished eating and we've talked about our day. And then I'll say, well, I have some emails to read to you. So that I think it was like yesterday or the day before. I said, so, what emails did we get? And you said, it was a quiet day. We didn't get any emails. It was kind of sad.
Yeah. But, there's a few emails that we've gotten lately, though, where people have said, we got in the lifestyle because of you. Or, we've gotten a few that have said, you've made a difference in our relationship and we're not even in the lifestyle. I mean, it's things like that are feedback to us that make the podcast worth the risk.
Right.
So I guess this is a good time to plug more emails because especially me, I'm the one that replies to most of them. So, feel free to reach out and, tell us, and we're not really interested for you we don't want to hear how much you like the podcast. That's okay. But we really want to know our listeners. We want to know something about you and, can continue to do that. And,
everybody's got a great story.
Yeah.
It's just the best.
You're not overwhelming us. You're not stalking us. We're just normal people down here on a Tuesday night in the mid-Atlantic in our basement talking into the microphones, and we got to finish up because we got to go to bed and get up to work the next day. So we're just a normal couple, and we hope that we're approachable. And so we really ask that you continue to do that because that really motivates us. So anyway, the risk for us is worth the reward, and hopefully I
think you said that backwards. The rewards are worth the risk.
Did I?
Yeah. You said the risk is worth the reward.
Okay, let me say that again. The rewards are worth the risk.
Yes.
Is that better?
The sexy rewards are worth
and the meaningful
risk.
Friendships and the relationships. So anyway, that's about all we have to say. Educate yourselves and go have fun. And when we come back,
we have some snapshot
time. All right.
Okay, well, goody gumdrops. It's time for some snapshots.
Yay.
Yay. So we have 2 listener snapshots tonight, and then we have each of our own special snapshots.
And we could use some fresh snapshots.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've gotten a couple people that ask, hey, we're not in the lifestyle. Can we send you snapshots? And the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're listening to our podcast, that qualifies you to send in a snapshot.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we got a couple of really good snapshots tonight.
Yes, we do.
And I'm going to go first.
Okay.
And then Mrs. Jones has one that fired her up a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah. So this snapshot is very short, and it's part of a longer message that we got from listeners. So this is the very end of their email, and I'll just read it to you. Finally, a funny thing happened at Bible study this week. Here.
Oh, geez.
I think it's really cool that we're doing a snapshot that has Bible study in
I
it.
know. Slightly ironic.
I know. Anyway, let me start that over
Okay.
again. Finally, a funny thing happened at Bible study this week. My wife and I go to Bible study together. As the group was having a discussion about the topic, our leader was talking about how some people are always trying to keep up with the Joneses. We looked at each other and just smiled. Isn't that funny? And, we find things like that all the time, like little phrases people say in vanilla world, and we kind of look at each other. But
that's exactly how we started. I mean, that's exactly why we titled our podcast what we did. We had the song and then Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Right.
It's just out there.
Yeah.
So it was just too easy to go with.
I mean, that's one of those times in church where after they say that and you snicker, you kind of cringe like you might be struck by lightning or something.
I know. Exactly.
Anyway, that was really, he didn't even intend that to be a snapshot, but when I read that, I emailed him back and I said, hey, we got to use this as a snapshot. That's just too funny. So, okay, your turn.
Okay, here we go.
And Mrs. Jones got a little bit fired up about this.
I'm going to get a little fired up again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this snapshot was sent to us from actually friends of ours that live in New Orleans. And they were at Colette one night. Again, our favorite club because it's our only club, at least for another month.
Yes, and we've played with this couple.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
these couples
set the stage.
This is a good friends of ours. Yes. So they were at Colette one night, and here is their snapshot. So out of nowhere, an older couple walks up to us and proclaims that they came over to chat us up. We thought, great, this never happens. Then they say, we are the last over 50, attractive, in shape, full swap couple in the U.S. It's great to meet you. Okay, so I have to interject. So the first thing that goes through my mind is baloney.
No, that's not what you said. You said bullshit.
Did I say bullshit? Well, seriously, come on. That's quite a line. Okay, so let me keep going. So it's great to meet you. So both of us look at each other and could tell that we were both thinking the same thing. That's definitely not true.
That's right.
I think they might have been thinking of us.
Yeah, I think so.
So after a few minutes, we start to notice exactly how intoxicated they were. They asked about our play preferences, and we explained that we were soft swap. Then they said the words that ended any future interactions we might have with them, if we could get past the intoxication part. They said, oh, you're not real swingers then. Soft swap couples don't count as real swingers. Oh my gosh. It was not a joke. He was not being cute or playful. We politely tried to continue the conversation for a few more minutes, but it was obvious that both couples were not interested in each other. While we understand we aren't exactly what they were looking for, being called not real swingers was an interesting label.
I think he's being polite when he says interesting
Yeah.
label.
My gosh.
See, that's the opposite of that. That's just...
That gives swingers just a bad name.
It does.
Especially like older, over 50, attractive, in shape, full swap couple in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't met the Joneses yet.
There you go.
I know. Oh my gosh. And then to say you're not a real swinger if you only do soft swap.
Yeah.
They have obviously never played with our friends because we did soft swap with them, and it was
amazing.
It was highly rewarded. Talk about sexy rewards. that was one of them.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That takes a lot of nerve.
I know. And to just alienate that many people just by saying you're not real swingers if you're soft swap.
Yeah, but kudos to our friends. And we've gotten other people that have found themselves in situations like this, and just stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Just roll your eyes and walk away.
I know.
Because that's ridiculous. That is not how, there are people out there that represent the lifestyle like this, but we don't find many of them. We know that they're out there.
Yeah, maybe we somehow, managed to avoid them, luckily. But I don't know. That just gives swingers a bad name. That just takes me back to the Leisure Suit Larry, fishbowl.
I even think that they're using their age as kind of an intimidating factor. Like, we're experienced, we're older than you, we're in good shape, and
we'll show you a good time.
Yeah, we'll show you a good time, but you're not
Please.
real swingers. And anyway, that was, you got really fired up when you heard that one.
Yeah, bullshit might not have been the only thing
Yeah.
I said. That's craziness.
Yeah. Okay, so it's my turn.
Yes.
And again, Mr. Jones has a extremely non-sexy snapshot. But
you do that a lot,
I
honey.
know, but you're going to go last, so you're going to end us on
I'll make up
on a
for it,
positive
yeah.
note. So again, a snapshot is defined as something that happens that's lifestyle related, that is one of those images that you just can't get out of your mind. It can be funny. It can be shocking. It can be sexy. It can be whatever it is. And we should also say, it doesn't have to be lifestyle related. It could just be, a sexy time between a couple.
Yes.
So having said all of that, my snapshot, going back to being found out, is when I'm sitting across the table from my friend and he says, "We know about your podcast." And at that point in time, I tried to remain cool and calm. And I think I did a pretty good job of it, but I'll never forget that one moment. And because nobody's at least admitted that they know about this before. So to be confronted like that and to have somebody say, "I know about your podcast," it really, that image and that conversation is burned into my brain.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. So, anyway, we talked about that. We don't have to go back into it, but it was definitely one of those times when, it's
You'll never forget that one.
No, I'll never forget that image of being told that, but that's okay. I mean, I think it's going to work out.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm so sorry about that. Cold bucket of water snapshot, but
Well, I'll warm things back up for you, baby.
yeah, I was counting on that.
Yeah. So, gosh, there are, again, multiple snapshots running through my mind, and, the single guy thing just is burned into my brain. But I think because the single guy thing, I'm experiencing it, so I don't really get to see it. I can only look up at him or look over at you. But as far as me actually having a literal picture in my head, it goes back to last weekend with our friends in the basement here. And when you and she were breaking in the new sofa.
Mm.
So she decided that a good way to test out the sofa was for her to kneel on the sofa doggy style and then hold on to the back of it. And then she wanted you to go in from behind. And you did that. And that was when she said, "You can't fuck me too hard."
Yes.
Her husband and I had made it out of the bedroom by then. And I think that was about when we came out.
Right.
We caught up with you guys at that point in time.
Right.
And you were like, "Game on."
Man.
I was like, okay, I think I'm still CPR certified. I think I can handle it.
So what did it look like?
It was hot. Oh my gosh. Because she is she's built just like you, actually. You're both really tall and lean, and you're all legs. So she's kneeled on the sofa, and she has long blonde hair. So her hair's falling in front of her face, and she's holding on for dear life. And then you're just behind her, just knocking her. And she was she's a strong girl. She was able to take it. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was better than porn because, first of all, you you guys both have beautiful bodies. So, I mean, it was fun to look at from that regard. But I mean, there was some like serious, competitiveness between the two of you.
Yeah. So a couple things about that. Well, first of all, I'm glad that that would have been my snapshot. So I'm glad you picked that one to have a sexy one, because I really like that one too. But the other thing that
I could tell
that she and I joked about, because we're both runners, is I said, if I would have had my Garmin and my heart rate monitor on, I would have been anaerobic all the time and maybe redlined a few times.
No kidding.
During that. I'd like to see that workout on
hitting that maximum heart rate.
Yeah, definitely did that. But the other thing is, and you and I were talking about this when you were telling me about this snapshot. I mean, you said it better than I can, but you were saying the fact that you can stand there and watch, just literally feet away, me with this beautiful woman and her saying things like that and me doing this. And then the next night, you and I are just so strongly connected. And remember, we were in bed and we were laying there, and you had really an emotional moment, and when we were in bed that night, and we were talking about this, and you said, this makes no sense. Mm-hmm. How does this make any sense? I just watched you. I
mean, she's beautiful. She's a very talented runner, and so you guys have that in common. I mean, you guys have so much in common, and then and her body is absolutely perfect. I mean, so to watch you two together, it was just incredible. Like, the visual of it was incredible. I almost wish I would have taken a picture of it, because it was that incredible. But I don't need to take a picture. It's right in my brain.
But then to say that, that it didn't, that it brought us closer.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't add up.
I can't explain that to my girlfriends.
Yeah.
No.
Right. And that's really one of the hard things to tell, like when my friend found out, it's hard to tell people things like that, because it makes no sense at all. But again, going back to the risk and reward, and especially with this couple, they have such a strong relationship. So, be patient, find that couple that works best for you, and, have a good experience and enjoy it. Because what did you say when I interviewed? No, one of our podcasts, you said, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it.
You're not doing it right. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, swinging is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't exactly like bored standing there watching you. I had just finished having fun with her husband, who is also an extremely attractive, fun person.
Yeah. Well, you were late when she and I were on the bed, and you two were going at it, and I told her, I said, I know Mrs. Jones is enjoying herself when I see her ankles locked together around the guy's waist. So you guys were definitely having fun.
Yes, we were.
Too.
Whew.
So anyway, so good luck to you all out there with your educating yourselves on the risks and the rewards of the lifestyle. And
yeah, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is. And we hope this has been helpful. So before we go, we have a vanilla cruise coming up.
I know. So we're going away this weekend to do our race with our vanilla friends.
Yeah.
And then we have a vanilla cruise coming up.
Yes.
Oh, but I think we might be able to bookend that with a couple lifestyle things.
You've got it. You've got a plan.
I do.
Oh, because we're going to meet some lifestyle friends the night before when we go to the hotel at the
we
airport.
do park and fly a lot, because it's all the DC airports it's really expensive to park, and we don't live close, so you have to get up at 3:00 in the morning. So we like to go up and stay at a hotel, because you just stay one night at the hotel, and then they let you leave your car there, and they shuttle you over.
So we have friends near
Dulles. So we're going up to stay at a hotel, and we have friends that live near there. Yes.
And then when we come back, we're staying in Miami an extra night, and we're going to go to Trapeze.
Yes.
On Saturday, I think it's April 2nd.
Something like that. Yeah.
And we're going to spend time with the Sapphic Swingers and with maybe a couple of other friends there. So you've got bookends, but you also did something else that was pretty genius.
What?
You booked a shore excursion for us at an adult only resort while we were on our cruise, because you knew that if there are cruisers that go to the adults only shore excursion with us, that they don't have kids with them, and that they're potential targets.
Right.
And that's on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, that's midweek.
Yeah, so we'll get to...
So we still have time.
So you can scope them out on Wednesday, and then move in.
And if we meet anybody before that, they can book this excursion too. We didn't book it through the cruise line. I found it
Yeah.
online.
You know,
So
what's the fun of going on a lifestyle cruise? There's swingers everywhere. We're making this a challenge.
it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes. We're packing our black rings and we'll see what kind of trouble we can get into.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And also we wanted to remind you all that We Got a Thing is going to have a meet and greet at Naughty in New Orleans. And a few of you have emailed us already, but if you have not done so, and this is probably going to be Wednesday afternoon of the event.
Yeah, like late afternoon.
Yeah, probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon before everything starts. So please send us an email at wegotthing@gmail.com if you want to come to our meet and greet. And we've got a couple of places scoped out, and we're going to make a final decision, and we'll have more details later. But if you're going to be there at Naughty New Orleans, please send us an email and let us know. And, we've had a few people that are going to meet us at Pearl.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, the 13th through the 21st. And it's funny because people will email us and say, is it okay if, we come when you're... That's the whole idea.
Do you think we could have a drink together?
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Isn't that what the hot tub's for?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about going to Pearl this summer, we're going to be there the August the 13th through the 21st. So please... consider going at that point in time, and we'd love to meet you.
Absolutely.
There. And the last thing that we'll mention is iTunes reviews. We got a couple more. We're approaching 50.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and if you go into your iTunes account, you can actually change your screen name, so that if you want to stay anonymous, that when you leave a review, that your actual username doesn't come up. You can do that. I know some people might be concerned about that, but anyway, thank you all for taking the time to do that, and we would appreciate anybody who wants to leave us a review on iTunes. Did I forget anything? What else do we have coming up? Is that it?
Well, we are going to Cancun Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I just snuck that one in on you.
Yeah.
I kind of slipped it in the pipeline.
Well, we had plane tickets that we had to use before summer because we had canceled a trip last year. So we had airline tickets. And you found a deal at Temptations.
Yes. Temptations is owned by the same company, Original Resorts, which owns Desire. And Temptation is like in the Cancun like hotel zone. So it's in like Cancun proper, where the two Desire resorts are like 25 minutes south of the actual city. So we've never been there before. It's a bigger resort. I think there's like 300 and something rooms. It's not a couples only resort. So, and it's only a topless resort.
That's okay.
So the men have to wear suits and the ladies have to wear bikini bottoms. So, but they still have like the sexy shows at night. They still, they're still known for, the nice restaurants and the good drinks by the bars.
And we've never been there before.
Yeah. So it's just going to be Memorial Day weekend and we're just going to go and party, and then we'll do our sexy couples only Desire trip in August. So.
Yeah. And the weather's warming up and our schedule is kicking in, and we're really looking forward to all of those trips. So hopefully you can join us. And if not, if you come to DC, let us know.
That's right.
And in
we'll
the
meet you
meantime,
for a drink or dinner or whatever.
Join our Cassidy community, or please continue to send us the emails. We really appreciate that. Our email address is wegotthing@gmail.com. WEGOTTATHING, all one word, @gmail.com. Our website is We Got a Thing. And, I put out a call for somebody who wanted to help us with a new website, and I got a little nibble on that.
You did.
Have somebody who's really interested
This
in helping.
gentleman sounds like he knows what he's doing, too.
So we're looking forward to hopefully redesigning a much better website sometime in 2016. So thank you for that. Follow us on Twitter @WeGotAThing. And if you're on Cassidy, join our Cassidy community. And if you join Cassidy through our website, the banner there, I believe you get 3 free months.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you book your Desire trip through the Desire banner on our website, we get a little bit of a kickback on that. And that's certainly appreciated because you know what we're going to do with that money?
What?
We're going to reinvest it in a trip to Desire. And you can put that in writing. Yeah. And we also have a link to, we're brand new. We Got a Thing is brand new on SDC. And we really are just starting to figure that website out.
Right.
So did I forget anything?
So we're branching out.
We are branching out.
I think that's plenty for this month, honey.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us again. We are Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and We Got a Thing.
What's your thing? That was not sexy.